stage. I'm back in the club when I'm rolling up, line full of women in the club when I'm showing off. Same crew with me, fame won't give me back to the wall, but I stay cool. Feel me? I'm bad. Come on, what y'all really want from it? Grayed out coupe with the top dropped off, shorty late night sipping. Stay right, get cops come through, but they ain't no tripping. I'm back to the
What up,
wall,
you
but I
marks,
ball like
and
Kobe.
welcome
Flex
to
my city, man. Everybody know
Pod
me.
Jobbers, baby. Yeah, buddy. I am your host, Jake the Villain. Alongside me, we got beautiful Brett.
Hey guys,
Yeah.
how's everybody doing?
Yeah, flex those pythons, man. And
What
then
I do?
how he does. And we got joining us, CL Kid.
That's right. What up?
Too sweet. We are down one. Normally we have a fatal four-way, but King Ducey has other things to take care of tonight. So you got the three musketeers taking over for tonight. And today we're debuting our new approach to segments, which I'm pretty pumped about. We've been working together as a group to get this going. And CL Kid had a lot of good ideas on how we could recompose Arch. So our segments today are going to be 5 times questions, which will actually be technically 4 with the 3 of us today. We'll do a push or bury segment, which is very similar to buy or sell. We'll do our patented "You Just Made the List" on this day, and then a new one, which is Know Your Role. We'll get into that a little bit later. So to start us off with our 5 times questions, we're going to start asking each other questions. And CL Kid, we will start with you. Ask the group a question.
Good to go. So my question for this week really pertains to if you guys follow the AEW product, they've been using placement wrestlers for crowd and things of that nature. WWE on this last Monday Night Raw finally followed suit. What do you guys think of this? And do you think they handled it as well as AEW did? I don't know if you want to run with that first, Jake.
Sure. Well, I felt like a hockey fan watching, first of all, because they had that glass separating the trainers or the performance trainers, right? Which are up and coming wrestlers, actually. But I thought it was cool. I think one of the great elements about the crowdless WWE or AEW stars out there is that you actually can hear a lot more, and it actually creates a different dichotomy between the wrestlers where there's a lot of trash talking. You hear the fans specifically because there's not a lot of fans at the same time. So you heard things like "you suck," like just very clearly, especially during Nia Jax when she was wrestling. So I actually thought it was pretty cool. What I didn't care for was the end of Raw when McIntyre and Lashley were engaging, and then they all kind of piled out and came in to help stop the fight. I thought if you're going to have them back there, let them be fans and let that be a thing, and don't let them come out and just keep going. So I was very much a fan.
So I wasn't a fan of it, and it wasn't because I don't think it's a good idea. I think it's because I think that ship sailed with WWE. What made it so cool with AEW, at least in the beginning, was you had the people, the personalities there, your MJFs and everybody that was keeping it light and everything like that. And, they were basically doing their own thing and didn't really have any restrictions. And I can't see that happening with WWE. If it was one of those things where they had a personality, like an MJF that could go out there and talk shit and, all the back and forth and all that stuff, I think it's a good idea. But the fact that they probably don't have that kind of creative freedom to do that kind of thing, they're very restricted in what they can do. It's just not something I think the WWE is built for, And the fact they went from no crowd to this crowd with that, I don't see it being good going forward.
I think honestly, I enjoyed it. Obviously at times it seemed a little feigned, and it seems almost as if like, hey, make sure you're cheering and say what you need to say all the time, and it feels a little faked, and the effort behind it isn't passionate. But they did as well as they could have done. I know me, I would have done worse. Like, I'm not good at faking cheering, I'm not faking booing. So they did good enough for me to be okay, and it never really overtook any moments. Like, it's not like you had an Orton Edge segment out there, and they were going to say something passionate, and they like booed at the wrong time or anything like that. So they were pretty organized. And I thought it did give it some energy that, for example, Apollo Crews winning or anything like that, like reactions that happened, it gave it a little more energy, and I enjoyed that. So yeah, like you said, Brett, it's not perfect, and it's not really their thing, and it didn't capture all the elements they may have, but I still think it was a positive just to get some sound out there, and hearing that made me kind of enjoy everything else a little more. Especially, they saw that they snuck in The Rock's daughter in there, give her an opportunity to try to whatever the hell you want to call that, but debut. So at least they're using it in some way. You never know how they'll work it into a storyline.
When they showed her, it was like I think a month or two ago at the Performance Center.
Yeah.
She was rough.
Yeah,
and it may be the beginning, so that's why. But she did not look smooth, and the bumps she was taking, it looked like she was someone who was like, "Hey, come in for a day and wrestle with people." And she wasn't like holding people in a cradle roll up, and I don't know, didn't look good.
And
it's like Foley's daughter in the show. And Foley's daughter was trying out, and they showed it in this little family documentary thing there, or whatever,
Yeah.
TV show. Yeah.
And you hear all the stories about like when The Rock first came in and how he picked it up like that, and it's kind of, I don't know. Not everybody is going to be able to do that. Your Rocks and your Kurt Angles and stuff like that can, but you figure with genetics, yeah, she looked not
something. Yeah, I don't know if she has a sports background. The Rock, obviously, Miami Hurricane, all that kind of stuff, but I don't know.
That Maivia bloodline just.
She's not that big either.
No.
I know you don't want like women to be big, but she looked like you put her next to even like Bailey, and she doesn't look very big.
Yeah, it's not even like one of those things where you had like AJ Lee where they were like dainty and cute and quick and I don't know, whatever. It's like in the middle of everything, so it's kind of a weird blend. But we'll see.
We'll see what happens. All right, I guess I'll go next. Is the Raw Women's division lacking? I noticed since Bitch has left, and really even before that, I'm not that jazzed about the women's division on Raw. Now you have Asuka versus Nia Jax for the championship, and Natalya is doing her weird thing, and then Charlotte now is up to kind of avenge and get the Raw title. But I don't know. I'm not interested. I'm not digging it. I think the tag titles made them too saturated and not enough wrestlers in the single side. But starting off with you, Brett, what do you think about the women's division on Raw?
They still have Raw's tag belts.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them in forever. It's interesting, because like you figure Raw has probably two of the best women in the world right now in Charlotte Flair and Asuka. And you're right. I mean, it's not. It doesn't get me going like the SmackDown, like the SmackDown women's division does. And that might be because I'm an unabashed huge Bayley fan, but I'm also a big Charlotte Flair fan. And I don't know if they're just afraid that if they do, show up and try to make it better, they're going to put a girl up against Nia Jax, and Nia's going to hurt them. I don't know if they're afraid of that, so they're kind of tanking it. That was a joke. You guys can laugh, and but it's.
I'm so intently listening.
I told you I can't do the fake crowd thing.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, and it's there's not that feeling that you get like you had when Becky Lynch was there, like you have over in SmackDown, where it's you don't know what's going to happen. It's okay, Asuka, Nia Jax, Charlotte Flair, and then a bunch of mid carders. So I think you're absolutely right.
I'll go the other way with it. I think honestly, I think it's just a matter of timing. You're in the early stages of the calendar year for WWE, and you know how it is. They like to save when you have. Okay, for example, you get the men's division. You have a lot of opportunity with the men's division because there's so many matchups, especially with the split show where you don't get to see, and you save them for Mania, and then who's coming back, and so on and so forth. The women's side, you don't get a lot of women coming back other than like the Rumble and things of that nature to really make a statement. So you don't want to put up all your best matchups early in the year. However, you don't want to put nothing up. So I think the whole show jumping with Charlotte coming around and all that, it's obviously helped a little bit. But I think the expectation that was set before, when you had, you know, Sasha Banks coming back, and then obviously Bayley doing her thing, and Charlotte being at the top, and Becky being the man, and all that, set the bar so high. But it set it at a time of the year where the bar was supposed to be really high. And I think right now there's a couple things. You see Natalya floating with the heel turn. You see the Iconics kind of feuding. Maybe they go their separate ways and open up to the singles division. Coupled with, you really oversaturated with Baszler and people like that. You don't want to really throw them in the face too early. I really feel like WWE is thinking, okay, we have no fans yet. Granted, they're trying to supplement that. But we don't want to put on our best stuff and our biggest emotional storylines like a Sasha Banks Bayley breakup until we get the fans back and until we can really capitalize that. And till then, I feel like we're going to get a lot of stopgap matches, and that's kind of what we're feeling.
Do you think they're really holding back though? Because it seems like they're still pushing certain storylines and results to matches that you would have thought they would have held until they had a crowd in place. Mainly, I mean, maybe they had to do it, I guess, for Mania. That could be the exception. But yeah, I mean, that's a good point, though. That is a good point that they may be holding back some heel turns and or face turns to.
You see since 2 weeks ago, obviously we're here in Orlando with the Performance Center, me and Jake. So you've seen since that's starting to be a little lighter restrictions from COVID, that they're really starting to now advance the Sasha Banks storyline a little bit more. They're adding in Charlotte. They're giving Asuka, a chance to be out there without kind of saying, so maybe they're starting to feel like things are going to lighten up soon, and we're going to start to really build these storylines. And Becky Lynch being the catalyst, it's her being gone. You have to do something.
It's crazy to sorry, Brett, real quick. It's crazy to think that 2 months ago I'm going, man, Becky Lynch is not the Becky Lynch of old. Like, she's stale to me, and she's like, she's good, she's a good performer, but she's not what she was when she first came onto the scene and two belt Becky, whatever. Becky Two Belts, thank you. And then she leaves, and now I'm like, wow, there's a giant hole in the Raw Women's division. But
it's like Joni Mitchell said, you don't know what you got until it's gone.
Yeah.
So, but the question I was gonna ask, is Bianca Belair, is she on Raw? Is that what they put her on? Right?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm surprised they haven't done anything more major with her. I mean, I get it. You don't want to push them right away when they get there, but goddamn, she's good. You know what I mean? And she's that kind that can have like a good, believable match with Nia Jax, and she can also have a good, believable match with like Alexa Bliss. She's perfect for her, man. I can't wait till they start to do something with her. She's good.
I'm not a big fan of her, but obviously she has good talent. So I just think she's one of those people that's just wrong place, wrong time. Everyone's already have a storyline going, and she's kind of the leftover. So for now, where do you really put her against? Yeah, you said Nia Jax, but she just came back, and you're trying to establish her as a big heel. So there's not really much. Alexa Bliss is another big Carter, but she's in a tag team. So they're just kind of in a spot right now where they're in the middle of storylines, in the middle of pushes, and they're in between things. And for as far as Becky goes, I agree with Jake. Becky was stale for me, and Becky was my favorite thing on the card for a month there. But she's just gotten stale, and I hate to see her go, obviously, but I think it'll be for the better. And I think I got in my own head with the whole Mania thing. I was hoping she would lose and then have to go through this rebuild, like the CM Punk thing where he shuts down and has to like cheat every match or something to get her back. But I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting. It would have been nice to see Alexa Bliss kind of take advantage of this opportunity and go back to heel crazy girl mode. But it looks like that's not going to happen. All right, let's move on. We got some more questions to ask. Brett, give us yours.
So Rey Mysterio is going to retire, right? Like, he's going to have a ceremony next week. That's my question. Do you think it's actually Rey Mysterio is going to retire?
I don't.
Before?
Yeah, I think this is not even close to as good of a swerve as Mark Henry's retirement with John Cena. If you remember that on Raw with the pink
I
jacket,
was gonna bring that up. I was gonna bring that up. My favorite Raw moment of all time.
That jacket's
it's
fly.
def. Oh, that jacket was sweet, dude. Yeah, that was such a nice. Mark
The whole
Henry is one of
moment.
the.
That whole shit out of me.
Oh yeah, he's one of the most underrated performers of all time.
Yeah.
I'd love if we can get him on the show somehow. But yeah, I mean, Rey Mysterio, I think they're playing off this whole angle of just in homage to our show. He's a jobber now. Like that's what he's gonna do, and he's gonna get some spots here and there. Like they gave him the U.S. title for like 2 weeks, but I think he's here to actually job and kind of put other talent over. I think they might somehow get him into a storyline with Austin Theory now that Theory's on with the Monday Night Messiah. So that's the direction. But I thought it was pretty bizarre. He's just getting destroyed. I mean, he got murdered during the Money in the Bank match. Then he got his eye busted on steel steps from the Monday Night Messiah. I mean, this poor guy, if he doesn't retire, he's just going to have no body parts left to enjoy his retirement.
I mean,
I'm with you. Go ahead, Brett.
No, you go ahead.
Okay, no, I'm definitely with you on the. My first thought was the Mark Henry thing, because like I said, that's my favorite. I mean, I'm not going to go through moment after moment. That was my favorite Monday Night Raw moment, other than maybe the CM Punk heel turn on The Rock. But I mean, that was just so good and so well done. I don't think Rey Mysterio's story, considering how they keep kind of teasing his retirement, is going to end that way. I honestly think that he himself, I don't know what his contract situation is, but I think he himself is waiting for maybe his son to get ready to join WWE and really be ready. And I would love to see him bring his son up, and as his son's going to go win, heel turn from Rey Mysterio. And then you get some kind of mid-card act where it's Rey Mysterio and some group of guys that are keeping his son down for a little bit till he finally overcomes him and hands him the mask and retires that way. I think that would be the best way for him, because right now his storylines feel stale because he is a jobber, as Jake mentioned. He keeps losing, he keeps teasing the retirement. And then realistically, they give him big matches and like Lesnar or whatever it may be, but it always feels like he has absolutely no shot. So in terms of just retiring this week, I think it's too random. Something else is going to happen that's going to spark a feud. And I know Brett doesn't like the Rey Mysterio heel turn thing, but I think that would be great. Just a little storyline. I kind of almost do like the Eddie Guerrero and Mysterio, family thing. So
I'm not going to lie. It breaks my heart referring to Rey Mysterio as a jobber, man. That feels so wrong. I'm not saying you're wrong.
Yeah.
I'm just saying it breaks my heart because he's the best masked wrestler to ever do it.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And as far as that heel turn thing goes, Rey Mysterio cannot be a heel. He's a quintessential babyface. Quintessential. You can't do it.
He would
no comment.
need.
He just stays there and has somebody else leading, kind of like the Rollins thing.
No, he would need a tag partner like Pentagon Jr. If he was to turn heel. He would need someone strong. It's kind of like what they did with Phoenix and turning Phoenix heel with Pentagon Jr. It works because of that character. Because Pentagon, you talk about best masked superstars on the planet. I think Pentagon Jr. is probably the best on the mic and the best promo ability, which unfortunately we never get to see because he doesn't speak English. But I think his ability to be an anti-hero / heel would give Ray that ability. But I agree with Brett. I don't think you can turn him heel. And even if you tried, it wouldn't work. I mean, they tried it in WCW and it sucked. It was terrible.
But at that time he was such a hero. If you think right now, let's just say this all winds out in the next month or so. I'm not thinking that soon, but if he were to come out, a couple weeks from now, like getting ready to try to really go out there, and then his son, let's just say he's ready, is like, no, like I'm gonna go out there and defend your honor against Seth Rollins, right? So he goes out there, and then Ray comes out as they're jumping him or something, trying to cheat him, and he turns on his son and joins Seth Rollins, a guy who can do all the speaking and he can just be on the other side. Not affiliated with any other Mexican wrestlers or masked wrestlers. Get him away from that and let him just be this guy that you're just like, damn, like just to have that moment, like the Undertaker losing at Mania kind of thing. Nobody loved it. It wasn't what you want to see, but it was a huge moment. And I think just Rey Mysterio turning heel on his son, I don't know, or just with a chair shot or something would be gold. and he's trying to get him to crawl back to finally beat Rey Mysterio back. And then they have a great match, and it's like the Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels ending with the kick, and he does it to him, and he beats his dad, and his dad
It ends with a Hurricane Rana.
hits him with the frog splash, and hands him the mask, and they shake hands. He hugs him, he cries, and he retires out. I feel like that would be better.
I mean, it's good, but you can't turn Ray baby.
It's good.
You can't turn him heel. You can't do it.
You have to. You got to keep this stuff fresh, because the thing is, we're so comfortable with these guys and their roles that when we just keep them like that all the time, it's just, Like, look at the New Day. Look at what the New Day was able to do. They first came out, I'm like, this has got to be the stupidest thing. And I'm quick to give things a chance, but it was like the dumbest thing ever. Then they just turned them, and it was just like, now. I didn't even want it then, but then now it just clicked. Now it just worked. And it's these personalities that you would never think are going to do well in that role. Like, why is this guy a heel? But it works.
I agree with you that you gotta keep it fresh. But what I will say is, I think just like actors, wrestlers can get typecasted, and I think Rey Mysterio is typecasted. I don't think he can stretch further than what he's being presented as. I think the mystery in Rey Mysterio is that he's a high flying lucha star that the fans, mostly and the kids, love. And I just think it's a big risk for WWE that doesn't pay off. I would love to see it. I mean, I can't imagine, because he's actually not good on the mic. So what would happen? Would he turn like Batman and try to do a deeper voice that just wouldn't sound good? Although I do think Christian Bale does sound good, but I don't know. It's a stretch.
I feel like I want him just tranced over, like Rollins is taking over, and his son's trying to talk to him as they're jumping him like throughout different segments, and he's like trying to speak to him, and he doesn't say anything ever. It's just he comes out there. Like,
now that could be cool, where like he turns on him and he's in the and he doesn't talk, and they like unleash him when they need to unleash him. Interesting.
Yeah, he just stands there and never, like, maybe at first he doesn't join in until like late, like he's like really fighting it, but then he hits him, he starts jumping him, and each week he's battling internally, like turning on his son, but he's still so tied to the Rollins thing. And then there's like the thing with Rollins losing him, and then like as he feels he's losing him, he sets up a match. Like, you're gonna go one-on-one with against your son and take care of this yourself. And then it just becomes this huge thing. That's his last match.
Well, for those of you that
it's
are
not like John Cena when you're with him.
Yeah. For those of you watching in the Wrestling Life group, post your thoughts on if Rey Mysterio could be a heel. Could he not? We want to see your opinions.
Under the guidelines that Rollins is the mic, and they never speak.
All right.
I don't want you throwing away my – that's it.
We're going to move on from this question because we're spending entirely way too much time on Rey Mysterio becoming a heel. So we're going to jump down to, if Ducey was here, he would have asked, how did Double or Nothing go? That's kind of like the AEW's WrestleMania in a sense. It was their first pay-per-view. They had their second one a week ago on Saturday. Brett, we're going to start with you because I know you have some strong opinions about this. Let's hear it, champ.
All right, so with Double or Nothing, I watched 2.5 matches. I watched the first half of that ladder match and stopped because I was not feeling it. Plus, I saw that I was 20 minutes in and there was still 20 minutes left, and I'm like, I don't have it in me to do that. The MJF and Jungle Boy match was great. It was a great logical match. It made sense. Both of them are awesome. MJF is easily the best heel in the business. Everybody knows that. Jungle Boy's got that potential. I mean, he's going to be, like your Rey Mysterio's guys that just can't be heel. He's going to be your baby face. And I watched that Stadium Stampede match, and that was garbage. I did not like it at all. I mean, it was like from the beginning when they had the announcements, like a football game and everything like that. They had like that kickoff. There was like a kickoff or something. I just was not. It didn't make any sense, right? So for the last couple months, they've been building up that Jericho's crew and Kenny Omega's crew, they hate each other, right? They're mortal enemies. So if you're going to have a big rumble with your gang and your gang, why are you going to stop in the middle of the rumble to try to make each other laugh? It it was completely illogical. It didn't. I get that it was entertaining, but if you do that with it worked with the Undertaker and AJ Styles because they weren't building up this like massive hatred for months and people double crossing each other and stuff like that. That's why that worked. It doesn't work when you have two groups that are built up to hate each other and they spend 45 minutes or whatever it is jacking each other off. It was completely illogical. It did not make sense, and I watched it twice, just to make sure I wasn't just looking at it or, just to make sure I was seeing what I thought I was seeing. And I listened to it I watched it before I listened to Cornette's review about it. So it wasn't influenced by Cornette, I promise you that. But it was just, I know we talked that 100-yard suplex. I know that popped you, Jake. I thought that was the worst part. I thought that was absolutely horrible. And the only part of the match I really enjoyed was the part when Jericho got on the megaphone and then he called Ref Aubrey a shitty ref. I thought that was awesome. And I did like the tent when they did the review. I thought that was kind of funny. But like as its own thing in a vacuum, not as a part of the whole match. I thought that was one of the worst matches I've ever seen. I did not like it at all.
I did not just see that.
I said it. I did not like it at all.
All right. Seal,
Hey,
were you able to watch the match or at least the card?
Okay, so I was able to read through the results because I am not an AEW guy, but couple that with I did see small clips of it's almost like shortened versions of the matches that had all the highlights. Speaking on that match you just spoke on, the whole stadium stampede thing. Yeah, the whole football entrances. I didn't even have to see the whole thing. I just saw like shorter versions of it, and it was still kind of low plating for me. But they seemed like they were into it. I'm not a big Jags guy, so that didn't go over well neither. But nonetheless, I think if you remember the Triple H Sting match, where they added so many elements of people coming back and old groups and Degeneration X and NWO and it kind of got sloppy at one point for me. I don't know about for everybody else. And the match dragged on and tried to include too many different things at once. And the Stadium Stampede match, as I said, I only watched the shortened version. So that match, even in the short clip, I mean, obviously you didn't get to see the things that tied it together. So much crap was going on, like all these things you're explaining. Like first it's this, then it's that, and it's just like I'm not even understanding the flow of the match. So everything I hear is like, I mean, other than Brett, had been like this positive thing from a couple other people I keep up with on this, but I don't know. I didn't watch the whole match, so maybe there were pieces I didn't get to see that really strung it together, but it just kind of felt sloppy and all over the place. But I'm speaking loosely because I saw the shortened version, so maybe they cut out some of the transitions. What do you think, Jake? Obviously, you've been giving a facial expression.
I'm stunned. I'm alone in this. Yeah, I really be curious to hear Ducey's reaction. I walked away loving Double or Nothing. I thought it was a solid card all around. Each match was entertaining to me. Good call on Jungle Boy Brett. He's gonna have a TNT title shot now after winning the Battle Royal they had on Dynamite. I thought the match was cool. I actually loved the kickoff where they charged at each other. It almost seemed like a battle, like a Troy, where they just charge at each other and they start fighting. You had Hangman Page come out on the horse and chase Sammy Guevara out, and he was just getting destroyed that whole match. You had a lot of high flying stuff from the ring onto the ground, and there was table spots. You had the Hardy versus Santana and Ortiz, and going into the pool. I guess he brought some of his lake into that pool because he changed costume like 4 times, and then I love that they just he was supposed to have been drowned in the pool, and Santana walks away and he's like, "Yeah, he's dead. We killed him." I'm just like, what is going on? I thought the one-winged angel to close the match from Omega off the rafters was sick. One of the Young Bucks ran down from the top of the stands and dove off. into a spot. The 100-yard suplex was kind of lame. I give you that. What I liked about it, if it's true, is the fact that he actually went the distance and did it. I don't think it's true though. I think they cut away several times and they both kind of got up. But if it is true and they actually did those suplexes over and over and over again for 100 yards, that's pretty crazy. I liked it a lot. I marked out pretty hard for it. It sounds like I'm alone though. We'll go there. If you guys at home haven't been watching AEW or were big fans of the cinematic matches that WWE put on, go check out the Stadium Stampede match between the Elite and the Inner Circle. What's interesting too, I was caught off guard. They actually had the announcers there as well. So I thought in the cinematic matches, WWE doesn't have any announcing, but in that match, AEW did have the announcers, which I thought was pretty interesting.
And here's the question that I always ask with this: what would have been your reaction if WWE would have done this? It would have been torn apart, right?
Yeah. I mean,
right?
Hold on. Am I getting Chris Jericho, and am I getting the spots that happened, or are different wrestlers?
That match, like let's say that match with those same people, only it's Vince McMahon owns the company and not Tony Khan.
I mark out for that stuff. So like you're asking me, the cinematic matches at Mania I liked, and I liked the Money in the Bank match up until the ending on the rooftop. Outside of that, I love that entire match. So I'm a sucker for that stuff.
And I'm the same way.
WWE to me does a better job on some of these things than AEW does. I like the cinematic matches WWE put together. Yeah, they do have more money and they have more backing. They have more history, so they're able to really get the minds that can sit in that. No, they're not perfect at it. But one thing WWE is definitely underrated at is working in a lot of guys in one match and really transitioning spots. So you get your middle of the match spots, you get your hot tag spots, and you get a nice transition of finishers that close out the match. They do it very fluidly. I mean, too many tag matches on Raw and SmackDown, but they do it very fluidly all the time with these 6-man matches. And I feel like this match was a little, once again, didn't get to see all the transition, but it was a little all over the place, and it was a little like over the top, like with the horse thing and this thing. And I'm like, every time it would cut away, like you talk about the 100-yard thing. Every time it was cutting away, and the thing I saw was still like 8 minutes. It wasn't like it was super short, like 2 minutes or anything. It was just like what the hell? Like, where did that come from? Like, it was like watching a movie and like just cutting out random clips and being like, who the hell is that guy? And like, it was just so random to me that I'm not gonna be a hater, but it just didn't seem organized.
Jake Hager, Hangman Page having a drink together. Oh snap!
Oh man,
is he on the toilet?
Yeah, he's definitely taking a shit.
He's about to take a shit on you guys.
Like, I'm doing the edge face.
All right, so go ahead, bro. WWE doing this match would have made any fucking difference at all. Come on. I seriously want to hear. I was listening, and I was like, holy shit, Brett's comparing this match. Like, if WWE did it, we'd shit all over it. Come on, man.
Tell me I'm wrong.
You are wrong.
I'm
you are
not wrong.
Like, because number one, first of all, if we put the same people that were in Money in the Bank in that Stampede match, we'd have a huge fucking difference in people who were watching in the first fucking place.
What?
People like Kenny Omega into this match. We've been, I've never really been a fan. I don't like his 47B triggers.
What?
But then, you're getting the Young Bucks and Chris Jericho running his Inner Circle, and this is awesome. We're getting a great fucking match. We're getting something we've never seen before. And I just don't get why the fuck you can't enjoy it for what it is.
And Omega only had one V trigger. It's one V trigger.
Right.
It is completely illogical. It does not make sense.
You know what really doesn't make sense?
I'm with Brett. Man.
Oh God, here comes
a fucking mustache. That's what doesn't make sense.
Copper Brett.
Car.
I'm sitting here taking a drink, and I'm looking at that stash thinking, I don't know if I should seek Heil or if I should head for the fucking chambers, man.
Yeah, it's dark right here, and then it gets lighter on the sides. I don't know. I don't like. I just noticed that with this too. I was like, good lord.
But Jake, thank you for standing up for the Stadium Stampede match because it was awesome. It was it was great. Match of the night for me. And when Jake got the chalk walk,
It was.
oh,
I
Nah,
thought I
it was
posted
great
immediately and I was
because
like 10 out of 10. I thought everyone was going to be flipping out about it, going nuts. And when I saw like a bunch of people being like, that sucked, I'm like, what? Did I just watch something different than everyone else?
kid, what do you just
I think that thing was. Okay, so I'm with Brett, and not because I'm like a big hater of it, but I did think it was overly unorganized. And when he brings up the point of WWE, if the same exact match was on WWE, it would have been bigger. It would have been hated on because WWE, you have higher expectations, and you're just gonna go, that storyline doesn't make sense. This doesn't work. Why is this guy doing? You're gonna nitpick the shit out of it. But with AEW, it still has that indie feel. It still has that smaller feel. So they have the freedom to pretty much do anything, and you're gonna defend it. You're gonna say, oh well, they're just trying something new, and they're throwing this against the wall, and it kind of stuck. And I'm glad they're trying something different. WWE does any of that. And I
But
bring up Rey Mysterio heel
WWE
turn,
just
again,
did a shit ton of that.
And
Just
they-
did all of
and
that
they-
at Mania, and everyone
And they did
loved
it well. That was the difference. They did it well.
Ah,
Controlled chaos. Controlled
No.
chaos, maybe.
listen?
They
I'm
are
not-
controlled chaos. WWE does change it, but they think them out.
Okay, we all know that Money in the Bank was shit. The food fight, lame. The stupid cameos for no reason, lame. Ending at the top, except for Asuka, lame. They're just trying to redo everything they did at WrestleMania to make people, oh, hey, they're all talking about this match. Nobody's talking about Money in the Bank. But even you haters that are shitting all over Stadium Stampede are making everybody go back and watch and think, huh, these guys are fucking dumb. Because this match is fucking awesome. It's hilarious. They got good spots, great wrestlers, and just the sheer fact that it's in a fucking stadium. Come on. I've got nobody there. It's like, how should I say this? It's like going to watch a soccer game at the big house in Michigan. You know, there's nobody there, okay? But maybe a handful of fans that love Manchester United. There's nobody there. Nobody fucking there.
I went to a soccer game at the big house, and there was over 100,000 people there. So that's me shooting holes in that one. But
Yeah, that was the United States national team. No. And dude, I just think, I mean, you're really looking, okay, so talk about the Money in the Bank match, right? So the Money in the Bank match, you didn't like the cameos. You didn't like, no, the food fight was lame, I'll give you that. And the fact that they got to the top and everybody was seemingly gone already and they didn't really capitalize it. But the organization of it was much better. The cameos may have been lame, but imagine had those cameos been cooler people that you could really like, be like, oh shit, you know what I mean? If they really ran with somebody they could get. You know,
and the cameos
organization
made
match was
sense.
way better. Yeah, it all makes sense. Yeah, like this thing was
It
just
was
like
so logical.
it was like having like Vince backstage at AEW and being like, just go out there, damn it, just sending every single person out there and do whatever the hell you want. I don't care, and sending them on a horse and a scooter and pool. Like it's just like it was too much, and there's no control. Too much control, no all that chaos.
That was the big difference. Everything in the Money in the Bank match, there were stupid parts of it, but it all made sense. The Stadium Stampede match was basically like I could just imagine them going out there and going, okay, so I can run down from the top of this, stop before I jump. So I ran for no reason. But I can run down this, stop and jump there. I can go over to this booth and have the replay spot with Ref Aubrey. I can suplex this guy across the thing. I can one eagle angel thing or whatever it is through off of the top of the thing into a crash pad that you could see, you know, and we got, you know, it was illogical. It was just people doing shit to each other.
Reverse.
No
You want me to
sense in
reverse
the
your
match.
question then? If this was an ECW match, would you have
It
marked
wasn't
out
ECW.
for the one winged angel off the top and the going down the stairs and jumping off? Because I think those spots, ECW fans would not care if someone was running and then stopped, so long as they actually just did the dive and risked their life to hurt someone else fakely.
Okay, I'm with you there, Jake, because ECW has an indie, throw it all out there expectation. WWE has an organized professional expectation. I don't turn on SportsCenter and see some guy in a freaking wrinkly white shirt. I expect to see professionals that are talking about sports, and that's the template that they've produced. You know, obviously we watch podcasts and we watch all kinds of stuff that talk about sports, and it's just guys like us wearing regular things. But that's the expectation. So now when we try new things, it's okay. Like this show, we can try things. You're not going to do the same random template changing on WWE Backstage. It's got to be organized because that's the expectation. AEW is, you know, they're willy-nilly. They're allowed to do anything because everybody's just, you know, they're trying to do something different than the other guys. WWE does that. You're like, what the hell? Like, you know, you could have just did this. Like, and everybody's a critic and a writer, which, you know, most of the time they should. But I just think this only worked because it was AEW and because they can get away with anything. Other than that, they're just like Doozy over there in the shitter.
All right, Brett, close us out on this segment. We're gonna finish off. Give us your last point, and then we're moving on to Pusher Barry.
Watch that MJF and Jungle Boy match because that match was awesome. That match was logical. Watch that one. That was the best match on the card, and you know it.
Deuce, are you staying with us, or are you flushing the toilet and leaving?
For like 2 more minutes because I'm pushing out CL Kid right now.
All right. Well, we'll make good use of your 2 minutes. So if you guys have watched any other show do a buy or sell segment, we're gonna do that, but we're gonna do it with wrestling. We're gonna make it push or bury. You're gonna push the wrestler of the storyline, or you're gonna bury the wrestler of the storyline. Basically, yes or no. Do you like it or not? I want from each of you to say push or bury, and then a quick 10 to 20 second spin on why. Don't go any longer than that. We'll keep it very quick. So this first one, we had our debut from Brian Cage. He's with Taz, and it looks like he's going to be now facing Johnny Moxley for the world title at AEW. So are you going to push or bury Brian with Taz? Deuce, we'll start with you.
I gotta go Barry, man. First of all, you're gonna give us Brody Lee, and then all of a sudden just throw him to the wind, and then we got this new fucking guy. Who is this guy? All of a sudden, because with Taz he's with somebody fucking awesome? Come on, man. Give me a fucking break. Next.
CL Kid.
I'm also gonna go Barry. Once again, if they're just trying to fit storylines and save the Brody Lee thing and do whatever they're doing, fine. But it should basically be, it's a wrap after this. Let Ambrose win and just roll over.
Brett?
Ambrose. I'm going to go with Barry as well and say that Brian Cage shouldn't be in the spot in the first place. It's too early. He'll get there eventually, but it's too early.
Yeah, if you guys have watched him before, he's actually a really, really good wrestler. He's strong. He has a lot of high-flying action for a jacked, like, Scott Steiner type. But I'm going to join you. I'm burying him as well. I'm burying Taz more than him because that was a shitty promo, and he sucked on the mic, and he's announced before. So shame on you, Taz, for taking a shit on that segment. All right, next one.
Gold.
13, sorry.
Apollo Crews winning the U.S. title. It's his first title with the wrestling organization of WWE. Are you pushing or burying this? Brett, we'll start with you.
I'm going to push it for a while. Why not?
All right. Deuce?
I'm pushing, dude. Seriously. Dude, that guy deserves it. He's put in his work. Now is his time. Let's see it shine.
CL Kid?
I'm also pushing. I think it's one of the most impressive things on the card right now, just because this is a guy that kept coming up, kept failing, kept coming up, kept failing. It just seemed like he would be off the card by now. And now he's able to turn it into something, and he's stuck with it. Don't like the finisher, but I'm fine with it. U.S. title is just a gamble title. Push it.
Well, I will be solo. I am burying this because I am one of your friends, Apollo Crews, and I doubt you, and I don't like you having a title. I don't think you're that great unless you join a faction. So I'm going to bury you. But whatever. Give you the U.S. title and care about the title anyways. All right. Let's move on. Drew McIntyre versus Bobby Lashley. CL Kid, we'll start with you.
I'm actually going push, and I'm surprised in myself to go push on a Bobby Lashley anything. I've never been a Bobby Lashley guy, but they finally made him into more of a badass. And now that he has somebody speaking on his behalf, it works. And I think MVP is actually doing pretty good with that. And I'm, again, surprised. I was never an MVP guy. I was never a Bobby Lashley guy, even in the beginning when they were in their prime. So for both those guys to be kind of lame in my heart and then watch it and kind of go, all right. He's, excluding Lana. He's doing the right things. And it's, whatever. I'm okay with it. He's not going to win, so I'm not worried about that. But I'm okay. I'll push it.
All right, we're gonna go Brett next.
I'm going to bury it. I thought in the last pay-per-view when Bobby Lashley was wrestling R-Truth in a comedy match, that's exactly where he needs to be on the card. Bury.
All right, Deuce, let's hear your rebuttal.
Fucking Barry, dude. Bobby Lashley's a fucking joke, dude. He's a jacked up puss, man. Seriously, all right? Get him the fuck out of there. R-Truth can do a better job than he can. Said it.
All right, I'm going to quickly side on push because I think this is how they should have actually booked Bobby Lashley this entire time. Give him a strong manager and just let him not talk and do the dirty work in his action. And they're basically just Impact Wrestling is on top of the world right now. You got Brian Cage out there. You got Cody Rhodes, Drew McIntyre, Bobby Lashley, all at the top of their cards. Impact's going, man, we lost out on all these guys here. So I'm pushing. All right, we'll go two more. So this next one is there is a strong rumor that Matt Riddle is getting called up to SmackDown. And the reason why he's going to SmackDown is because Brock Lesnar is not of him and Brock's on Raw. Are you pushing or burying this? Deuce, we'll start with you.
Push it. Seriously, push him. Matt Riddle is an amazing athlete. He's fun to watch. I'm ready to see what he can do on SmackDown. I don't give a fuck if Brock Lesnar's on Raw. You know that they're going to cross paths eventually. Watch, I guarantee, Rumble, come Rumble time, we'll see something happen between these guys. Go ahead.
All right, Brett.
I'm going to push it just because I'm a Matt Riddle fan. The more I can see of Matt Riddle, better. The happier I'm going to be. Bro.
CL Kid, you a bro?
I'm not a bro, but I am going to push it. Matt Riddle's great. He's everything, good at everything. But I'm just not I'm not attracted to his whole thing overall. But I like the fact that he's coming up on SmackDown. I think you don't want to, if you know publicly about the rivalry with Lesnar, I don't want him out there and losing so quickly. I'd rather him build up some steam and then finally maybe meet up with them later.
Push it real good. I'm on your side, gents. We're going to push it far. Let's see how long a wrestler without boots can last, though. Very curious to see that. All right, our last pusher berry question is going to be the Street Profits and the Viking Raiders are entangling in an anything you can do, we can do better series, which we've seen axe throwing, we've seen golf, we're going to see bowling. What are your thoughts? We're going to go with Brett. Push or bury?
Push. Why not? What else are they going to
do? All right. CL Kid?
I'm going to go bury. It was, creative to try something, but it's already overstayed its welcome. I'm done with it. They don't fit that part.
Okay. Deuce?
Push. Only if they gangbang Page.
I'm pushing it. I think it's hilarious. I'm actually really impressed by the Viking Raiders. They're making me crack up. Montez Ford, he's got a strong future ahead of him if he can really sell the way he's got this like Rocky Maivia meets the Pope vibe. I thought it was hilarious. I thought the golfing stuff was hilarious, but maybe I haven't seen the earlier segments, so I'm just tuning in now, and that could be why.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brett.
Deuce, what's that shirt you're wearing?
Justice League.
Oh, I thought it was like Care Bears.
Same shit.
Same thing.
Anyway, listen, fellas, it's been nice, but got to wipe the bread, and I'll get you guys on the flip. Deuces.
Wash your hands.
Don't fuck you. I'm not even wearing a mask.
Poppy's a little sloppy.
I can't eat it. There. Bye.
Thanks, Deuce, for joining us, and that was a fun time.
I love that kid like a brother.
Well, that brings us to our next segment.
And you know what happens? You just made the list!
So it's our favorite time. It's time to call out who is making your list, and I want to hear some serious trash talking tonight. So we got a couple of list makers. CL Kid, we're going to start with you. Who has made your list? and why?
Easily for me, Kevin Owens. I love Kevin Owens. He's great in the ring. He's great on the mic. He brings energy, and he's never stale, ever. And this face thing is just not working for me. I'm done with it. He's 1,000 times better at the heel role. It's like the Miz being a face. That doesn't work for me. You talk about being typecasted. I just think Kevin Owens is just so much better at heel in a world that really needs that right now as a single star, because wrestling needs that top heel. You got Drew McIntyre just bowling over people. Like, I'm not saying that Rollins isn't great or anything like that, but it's just one person. We need more. We need more. And I think Kevin Owens just shines as a heel, and it's more than late. It's just time. It's time. This KO show thing is funny at times, but I don't know. It just feels limited, and I feel wasted, and I like him, and I want to see him more often in bigger roles, and you're not getting that from the face angle.
I'm with you on that. I'm a big Kevin Owens fan myself. I've very rarely ever seen him do like a bad match. I know he does a lot of shit just because, but I've always been a Kevin Owens fan, and I mean, he's a heel, not Rey Mysterio.
I think the tough part is, like, I'm with you, Seal Kid. I've been saying it on prior shows too. Kevin Owens' face is it's bad. But I think what WWE struggles with is when you have a heel that's like top of the card, you have to give as much to that heel as you can. And so having a lot of heels can really be dangerous because you don't get enough focus on the one true heel that you have. And they're really trying to push Seth Rollins to be the one true heel. And so Kevin Owens has already got such big star power that I think that it would conflict. But I agree with you. I think he's terrible as a face, and I'm shocked that it's gone on as long as it's gone on for. Maybe it's because they wanted to rebrand the Stunner. I'm really curious to find out whose idea it was for him to have the Stunner. If it was his or WWE's, I'd be curious to know, because I think they don't want the Stunner to be associated with a heel.
And I think it'd be dope to put him in with the Monday Night Messiah. I think that would be sweet. He would make a great, like, nothing against Murphy. Murphy's fine and all that, but he's a mid-carder at best. And Kevin Owens is going to be the Triple H to
Ooh.
Seth Rollins, Shawn Michaels.
They really missed the opportunity there for him to come back and be like, sway. Maybe the drop, that big spot he had where he fell from the rafters onto Seth, like that kind of turned him into the Colt. And they really missed that opportunity. That could have been cool.
I'm just ready for him to be a lead heel. No offense to the Rollins idea. I just think you move him to SmackDown, let him be the top heel outside of Bray, because Bray's not a consistent thing anyway. He kind of has that mystique like a Lesnar. Calm him down a little bit, but just let him be the daily heel. I mean, you get obviously AJ Styles over there, but you're still waiting on him to be that, see what's going to happen with that. But I think he should just go for SmackDown and beat Braun. Done.
That's fair. All right. Well, if you guys are still watching in Wrestling Life, or you're going to watch this post-production, we'd love to get your feedback on if Kevin Owens should be a heel or a face. Let us know. And with that, Brett, who made your list this week, senor?
The person that made my list is Brandy Rhodes. I don't understand why she's got to be on everything. She didn't come at Double or Nothing. I watched highlights of the rest of the matches that I didn't watch all the way through, like CL did, and it was too they stated it was too dangerous for her to go out there for that Cody Rhodes match, but she could go out with Dustin. Why does she have to be on everything? I mean, I understand you're married to, the one of the bosses and everything like that, but what does she bring?
There's your answer.
But I mean, I get the nepotism. I don't agree with it, but I understand it at least. But what does she bring to the whole? She doesn't bring anything.
She's trying to keep up with what Cody brings to the table, and she's just really hot.
And
That's
and
it.
even the best thing that she's done was when Jake Roberts put that snake on her and then dry humped her. But then they did absolutely nothing with it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Brandy, she's a good looking girl. I mean, and she can do her things, but have her do something. she's not doing anything except for just being there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with you there. I agree. Every time I'm not a big AEW guy, I do try to keep up. And anytime I see her out there, it's almost like the segment could have gone on without you. And it makes me kind of give a lot of credit now looking back to Stephanie McMahon, because you see somebody like that who was just almost in the same role at first, but then started to develop a little bit of character, and obviously that was forced upon with the whole Triple H and Vince thing. But she started going on her own, being a great heel, being empowering, being a certain way, and just obviously she plays that heel role so good as well. But she was able to take stunners and take rock bottoms and chair shots or whatever it may be. And she just was really involved in the storyline of being out there. I feel like Brandi Rhodes is just out there. It would be like, if, we're going to let one fan win a perfect gift from AEW where you get to be in a segment, and then they throw me out there and I'm just standing in the corner doing nothing because I don't know what the hell I'm doing. It's like, why am I out there? Like, I won something that's fun and that's cool and everybody gets that, but why am I out there? So I just feel like she, by now, should be really intertwined with some storyline where she's just not randomly, sporadically out there all the time, because she's not doing it.
They're choosing to mix her up too much. They just got to take one thing.
Yeah, no storyline. She needs a storyline.
Well, she had that when they first started where she was. It was
so
bad. It was really
The
bad.
Nightmare Collective.
Yeah, the nightmare. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
It was so bad they just stopped doing it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No explanation why. They just stopped it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I feel like we're picking on the women, but I gotta continue here. I want the WWE to stop sucking the genitalia of legends and their offspring, because I am tired of seeing Natalya. She's not good. She is terrible on the mic. She's on Total Divas. That's fine. But she just, I don't like her performances in ring. She can't keep up. She's never going to be a title holder. It's not going to happen. When she was a heel, it was okay at best. And now they have this stupid storyline with her going on where she's unprofessional is what I'm guessing they're going with. And she had an interview interruption by a call from her husband, TJ, and it was just so poorly done. The announcers tried to come in and save it and just try to say, oh, it's so unprofessional, take a phone call. What garbage is going on, and why does it even need to be a thing? Who cares? We don't need that. Get it out.
I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you on the storyline, but I am going to strong disagree with you on Natalya as a horrible wrestler, because she is the opposite of a horrible wrestler. She's one of the best female wrestlers that's ever lived. I mean, if you just look at her work and everything like that, it wasn't an accident that her first singles match, that Ronda Rousey's first singles match was with Natalya. She's one of the best female wrestlers ever as far as work goes.
That's fine. Send her to Ring of Honor or New Japan Pro Wrestling. Totally fine. Totally fine with that.
I'm going to split the difference there. She's overly stale. Like, we know what she is. And that's because she is such a good in-ring wrestler, but such a bad out-of-ring performer. Like, she's not good on the mic. She's boring. I mean, they had her doing farting storylines at one point, years back. I don't know if you remember that, where she would just be standing backstage and she'd fart and it's just a thing. And I'm like, how do you have – at that time, she was the best in-ring wrestler. That was a time when, they had storylines for Alicia Fox where she was just spilling stuff and throwing temper tantrums that were terrible and doing whatever. I'm okay with turning her heel again and really making her, I don't know, some kind of specialness with it, like the stupid, unprofessionalism. But it always feels like a forced storyline from somebody we know is not going anywhere. So it's pointless. Like, she's never going to win a title, like Jake said. She's never going to be the main person, even though her abilities show that she can, because even the other day against Charlotte, she looked great. But it's just, like, I've already seen her as being just, it's almost like Jeff Hardy, like, telling me, like, I love Jeff Hardy, but, like, if you're like, oh, Jeff Hardy's going to, go on and beat Drew McIntyre for the title, like, that's not viable to me. Like, he's not that.
Not today, at least.
Yeah.
No, correct. Yeah, it's not viable to me. And I just don't think Natalya ever doing anything is viable. So just seeing any progression in a storyline with her, for me, is senseless.
Yeah. Natalya's like Molly Holly was back in the day. She's the best worker, or like a Christian or a Dolph Ziggler. She's the person you put out there to make the other person look good.
But
She
Molly
sucks on the
Holly
mic.
worked because they didn't try to do much more with her than what she is. Where Natalia, I love to see some stats on the percentage of people who leave the room when Natalia's on screen. And if they truly care, because I'll give you that. She's a good in-ring performer. Maybe I overspoke there, but it's not enough to sell me on the package of Natalia, and I just feel like she's always shoved down my throat for things that I just don't care about.
She's a heart.
She's a heart. Exactly, and that's goes back to my original comment. Just because they're in some legacy family doesn't mean they get to jump to the top of the list and get shoved down our throats. All right, well, here comes our next segment, and I'll lead us in. Hopefully we can hear this. All right, on this day, I like this one today. I like this on this day. Yeah. Hey, yo. On this day, May 27th, so technically yesterday, May 27th, 1996, Scott Hall debuts in denim on the WCW and interrupts a match. I don't remember who the wrestlers were, but interrupts a match and cuts the promo to unleash and catalyst and begin NWO and what we know it to be. I want to hear from you guys, your reactions, what you think the impact on the wrestling overall was. Brett, we'll start with you.
It's that one in particular is probably my second favorite WCW promo ever. The first one being Chris Jericho reading his list of moves. That's far and away the best
Classic.
WCW promo ever. But I love the first Scott Hall promo when he comes in, and he just walks in. He says, "You know who I am," and like just leading with that line is like, okay, this is cool. That's
Wait, does he say, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here," or something like that?
yeah. So, but just saying, you know who I am.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was perfect. Like it wasn't the best, but as far as like my favorite, it's one of my favorites of all time. WCW is.
Yeah, I'm gonna give the whole moment a 10 because I have always been WCW. Obviously, I kept up, and more than I do with AEW or anything like that because it was still a huge thing. But the reason I got into wrestling, Bret Hart, Razor Ramon. So when he came over, I was like, oh my god, WCW, and then he comes out, and I already want to wave off whoever's gonna come out, and he shows up, and for me, it was just like, wait a second, like now I have to watch WCW. Like there is no like this is amazing, like this is great, and then like you said, he didn't come out and just go on this rant just for him to say like you know who I am, and it's just like I was like oh my god, leaning up towards the screen and excited, and I loved it. So that put together a lot for me because that really made me keep up with that WCW package for as long as it ended up lasting. And the impact, like you said, was huge, and it really was a catalyst in a lot of ways. That NWO thing and just him going over there and the war that incited, and it's understated how important that moment was.
Yeah, it changed wrestling. I mean,
Yeah,
you
exactly.
can pinpoint that moment when he walked in that ring and picked up that mic. That changed wrestling.
Yep.
It was there are a few moments I think that are universally known in the wrestling business throughout the years, and I would say that this is one of them. I mean, you guys have said it, and it doesn't need to be said, but just the impact it had in bringing in NWO, which in my opinion is the saving grace of WCW plus Goldberg. But the impact it had on creating the Monday Night Wars and building up WWE's brand at the same time. For every great company, you need a great competitor. And I think that's why Vince has not bought a lot of these other companies, because he values the competition to help boost audience to his platform. And Scott Hall just, there's a lot of theories that were running around like, did Vince send Scott Hall and Kevin Nash over there on purpose? I believe that. But stuff like that, and just it was so shocking. And you just you're watching your television, and that I think I'd started watching it a couple weeks prior. So I was very brand new to WCW, and like CL Kid, I was a huge WWE fan. But every Monday after that, I was going back and forth. And I was doing that up until WCW was bought. I was going back and forth. There wasn't one single Monday night that I did not go back and forth between both companies. And, you know, I posed a question in Wrestling Life just asking who really impacted and the WCW and NWO more, Scott Hall, Hulk Hogan, or Kevin Nash. And it's really hard to not look back at that moment and just say, this is it. This is what did it. If this didn't happen, who knows if all the other stuff would have been good? Who knows if Hogan's, you know, surprise entrance at Bash at the Beach would have been as impactful as it was for this moment. So really cool.
Yeah, agreed.
All right. So we've reached our last segment of the day. It's titled Know Your Role. And this is where we will not be shutting our mouths, but we'll basically, I'm going to pick a question and I'm going to have these gentlemen debate and we'll award a point to the winner. And going forward, every week we'll have the same segment. And once someone hits 5 points, we'll give them a nice 3-minute promo to themselves to cut their own promo and not be interrupted by anyone. So with that, our tonight's question is,
Gone. John Cena question. We can't see it.
I had to hide it from you guys. So I actually was going to ask this, and I realized that Seal Kid already brought it up. But what is your best Raw moment of all time, and number one? So Seal Kid, you mentioned yours earlier. I'd love to hear more about that.
Okay, so if the question's actually been asked to me, I'll take a little more time with it. The Mark Henry moment I mentioned earlier was so amazing. It was so well done. It was a random retirement, and then it just turned into what it did with John Cena. But that's like the best moment for me. But my favorite moment is still CM Punk laying out the Rock with the title and then hitting him with the GTS. Like that finalization of the heel turn on him and really changing his character and setting off for this giant run was the most amazing thing for me. CM Punk and The Rock are my top 2 favorites of all time. So you got between the promo, he's sitting on the stage and he does all those things. All these things were happening on Raw. It wasn't like pay-per-views or anything that you had to wait and hope for it to. But every week, CM Punk was bringing it, sitting on the table, confronting Jerry Lawler, talking about how the last show ended, and just creating this heat and this dynamic. So for me, that moment when he lays out The Rock, because I love The Rock, but I don't like guys just coming in out of nowhere and automatically being at the top. So, I mean, it's The Rock, duh. But for him to come in and I'm already like, this is going to be the guy that ends the CM Punk thing. And CM Punk laying him out, I was just like, yes, the camera angle was perfect. You didn't, not that you couldn't see it coming, but you didn't see it coming physically. It was well done. And that for me that was the moment that was just, yeah, exactly. He worked with Cena. That whole run right there for me was embodied by that one moment, just because it really told me hey, he's not just going to be buried by The Rock. It's nothing, he goes on to lose, but that point. So that for me was everything.
Okay. Brett, best moment, Raw's history.
Best Raw moment. I got 3 that are jumping to my mind. I'm gonna go with DX invading WCW during the Attitude Era, and that was I remember that watching that live. That was right when I was that age and everything, and that was really the moment where WWF, I'm gonna call them WWF because that's what they were called back then. When WWF took the fight to WCW. Before that it was WCW rarely if ever got mentioned on air before that, and to have the first return, and at that same time WCW was talking about the matches on Raw and telling results and things like that, really going out of their way to kind of rain on WWF's parade. And WWF kind of took the high road the whole time, and then you have the Price and DX to be okay, well, we're not going to take this anymore. We're going to fire a shot back, and they did it in the best possible way. It was hilarious. It was so raw and real. You didn't know if they were going to get arrested. It was just probably the most memorable. My favorite, most memorable moment on Raw was definitely DX invading WCW.
I don't want to counter you because I love that moment. But I think the only thing on that one, whereas my CM Punk thing is like, CM Punk's rising and he's going to get stuck with the Rock. And it's like, oh, we're going to go a different way maybe. You don't know. It's just still on its peak and its heat every week. The promos were so good. And the show's called Know Your Role. So I'm going to go ahead and utilize the Rock in my story here. But I think with the DX takeover, that incomplete feeling of the door closing and you not really getting to see what could have been, it was like, oh man, imagine. Whereas with CM Punk moment, it just launched from there. It was hot coming in, and it was hot coming out. So I don't know. But I love your moment as well. It's right in the end of my childhood too.
And that was, I love the closing of the door, because it was like, okay, well, you've been poking the bear for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, telling the results of our shows and everything. And then the moment that we show up to kind of ask why you're doing that, you run away. So I know, but they did, and they played him for the coward. And for the record, the other two ones that I was thinking of, both of them concerned The Rock, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
So I get to award my point, and my point's going to beautiful Brett, and I will tell you why. CL Kid, you had me at Henry, but you lost me at Punk Rock. And the reason why is I thought you were going to go Punk's promo on Cena, because that, to me, was the best Punk Rock. And if you would have went that route, I was like, oh yeah, that to me is probably best Raw moment ever. But I thought the DX invasion was classic. I mean, that truly is like a separator and one of the catalysts one of the straws that broke the camel's back for WCW to go bye-bye. But dude, I was you went with Punk over the Rock.
Here was my point on this whole thing is it's like saying, who's the best WrestleMania person ever? Like, well, I can't not say Undertaker. You know what I mean? But I'm gonna pick what I really felt like embodied something to me. The DX thing obviously had a huge classic thing just because of the repercussions and everything going on at that time. And it's a great, cool thing. And at that age group, especially how we are, you're younger. You're just oh man, this is amazing. It would have been amazing now anyway. But with the CM Punk promo, the pipe bomb, that was what really truly took CM Punk from here to he's bigger than Cena at that moment. Like he is the top guy for me. Like I can make that argument now. But for that to go that way, like that moment launched that. It was the catalyst to that. But then the Rock thing really you could feel like they were trying to bury him. And that moment for me was like a nice turn for somebody who follows and keeps up well. It was like, oh, okay, this is going to happen. Then he's like, oh, no, I'm going to turn on you right there. And it was like, yes, there's hope that WWE is going to keep CM Punk as the top spot where he should be. Whereas the other ones, not though that they were predictable. You can't predict he was going to give that speech. But it was what launched it. And it's more like the more important moment. But for me, the Rock moment was more like against what I already expected to happen.
All right. I did love the moment. I don't want to, shit on your moment. It's a great moment
of the thing. Like Mark Henry is not one of the biggest things ever. He's still my second favorite.
But it was a hell of a moment, though. It was probably most unexpected moment because
I didn't see that coming.
He even thanked his children and everything on Twitter, which was insane. And you're just sitting there like, oh my God, I'm gonna cry. I feel bad for the guy. And then it happened. You're just like.
It's so clean too.
Hulk Hogan, eat your heart out. Yeah. Oh,
dude, it wasn't like he had to do the kick. It was just like the hug right into picking it up and cleanly. I still have some left in the tank, and I'm like, but the fact that it's like, that's my point right there. Like, I could have picked a bigger star and been like, oh, this is why, it's a huge changer in the company. But the Mark Henry wasn't.
I might have awarded you if you gone Mark Henry. You lost me at the Punk Rock one. I just was so shocked for Punk to choose that moment over the pipe bomb, or even ice cream bars, or the contract signing, or Paul Levesque, Phil Brooks talking to Paul Levesque. Like any of those, I would have been like, yes.
All those are the obvious moments. What's your favorite Jordan moment? Oh, Game 6 against the Jazz. What's your favorite, LeBron moment? He wins his first ring. Like, it's all the obvious things. LeBron versus Detroit, where he finally overcomes, was my favorite LeBron moment. That's not a title changer. It wasn't anything. He still lost in the finals. It wasn't the thing that defined LeBron, but visually and expectation-wise and what happened there in that moment was just like so different from what I expected. I don't want to pick it's not what's the best CM Punk moment. The best CM Punk moment is the pipe bomb.
All right, for you nonconformists, you're leaving this without a point tonight. But my favorite LeBron moment was taking us down to South Beach because he became a Heat player and got us a championship or two. So,
I'm a CL. Dude, he beat the Pistons by himself.
Yeah, well, the Cavaliers run when he had no one except for Sideshow Bob on his team. That was pretty damn impressive when he was going toe to toe with the Spurs.
That Pistons game, that Pistons series was what did it, but nobody talks about it.
You're right.
That's what I'm talking about. I don't want the obvious one.
And that was a good Pistons team too, a real good Pistons team.
Absolutely, yeah. Did they have Ben? Was that Ben Wallace days?
Oh yeah, that was Ben and Rip Wallace and Chauncey Billups and Rip
Hamilton, Frank, Rashid, and Ben.
Rashid, that's right. Yeah.
And LeBron beat him by himself. Just a boy from Akron.
1 point for Brett.
Brett walks away with 1 point. He's got 4 more to go before he gets his own segment uninterrupted. I'm gonna have to mute Deucey for that when that happens because he'll probably try to interrupt no matter what.
He'll know better.
But this has been fun, guys. Thank you so much. It's Podge signing off. Goodbye, you marks, and thank you for everything.